What's up, Star Wars fans? My name is Prince and I'm an urban acolyte. According to Reddit user KNNL, I'm going to say Kennel, it's obvious that Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter. Now you guys know that I've never been on the Skywalker camp ever since I first saw The Force Awakens. But in this video, I'm going to discuss this post on the Reddit Star Wars speculation board and basically take it apart, because I think Kennel's post has some pretty big holes in it, and I just don't think that Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter at all. But before I get into breaking down that post, I just want to say that if you're new here, I talk about Star Wars, the underlying themes in Star Wars, and how to incorporate Jedi teachings into your daily life. I usually make videos about Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, about 3 times a week, so if this stuff sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so that you can stay up to date on when I'm posting new videos on all things Star Wars related. Okay, so Kennel's post over on Reddit says, I was never into the Rey Skywalker camp, but I was talking to some friends who were casual watchers and they all agree that The Force Awakens left it clear that Rey is Luke's daughter and don't understand why there would be confusion among the hardcore fans. So I decided to rewatch The Force Awakens, trying to keep my mind away from bias towards some speculations. Long story short, what other meaning can you give to this line from Maz Kanata? The lightsaber was Luke's and his father's before him. Now it calls to you. Other than it meaning passing down that lightsaber is a family tradition and it is now Rey's time. Daisy Ridley was quoted as saying, I thought a lot of it was answered in The Force Awakens. Then after the screening, I went for a drink, my agent and everyone, and we were chatting away, and I realized that, oh, in their minds, it's not answered at all. The thing is, folks, like Kylo's parentage, it is not the big deal. There are bigger things that come from this. For example, right after Maz said, the movie tries to make it extremely clear that Luke had nothing to do with her being left on Jakku. Maz says, the ones who left you on Jakku, they're never coming back, but there's still someone else who could. And Rey says, Luke. Maz seems to know all about Rey's background just by talking with Han Solo before Rey's Force back vision when she asks, so who's the girl? Daisy Ridley said, but with answers come more questions and there's definitely going to be enough to keep people going for another 2 years. So yeah, we've been focusing on the wrong things. She is Luke's kid, and we're supposed to already know that coming out of The Force Awakens. But there will be much more to this than just, she's Luke's daughter. Case over. Let's go home. I think that's why JJ got both of them to look so emotional at the end of The Force Awakens. Instead of leaving the cinema thinking, cool, but who was our father? He probably wanted us to go into Episode 8 thinking, poor things, something bad happened and they were separated a long time ago. He's even starting to cry just by looking at her again. Guess that didn't work so well. So to sum up this post, I'm now with the Rey Skywalker camp. I think they made it obvious in The Force Awakens, but we missed it because we want another Empire Strikes Back twist situation. Yeah, that's real cute, but Kennel makes some glaring mistakes with their post. But kudos to you. You're on the Rey as a Skywalker camp with everyone else who's going to be in for a big surprise. I'll say this though, you can't be a Rey as a Skywalker person and a Reylo person at the same time because, well, I mean, that's just gross, right? But seriously, you based your entire post on that conversation with Maz Kanata, the same conversation which made a lot of people think, wait, Rey's not a Skywalker. It's not Luke's kid. Maz says that the belonging that Rey is seeking is in front of her, not behind her. The people she's been waiting for on Jakku are never coming back, but there is someone else who still could. Rey says Luke, so we're led to believe that Maz Kanata is talking about Luke Skywalker. And maybe Maz was actually talking about Luke Skywalker, as in Rey is the one the lightsaber has called out to. Rey is the person who will find Luke Skywalker and bring him back into the fold. This is Rey's call to adventure. This is her embarking on her heroine's journey. Maz is the wise old person here, and Han Solo also was a wise old person, but Luke Skywalker is the one who is really supposed to be Rey's mentor. And it's funny how I see these speculations that completely overlook the model laid out by Joseph Campbell. And it's like, well, that's cute, but I don't think so, muchacho. Maybe you should go back to the drawing board with your speculation and theories that suck. Here's the other thing that gets overlooked by like basically everyone coming up with this nonsense. Maz is foreshadowing an event that we actually see played out in The Force Awakens. The belonging you seek is ahead of you, not behind you. The people who left you on Jakku are never coming back, but perhaps there is one who still could. Who just left in the previous scene? Anyone? Bueller? Okay, I'll tell you. It was FN2187, Finn. Finn. Finn chose to leave with Captain Athano and his crew to get to the Outer Rim and away from the First Order. Finn left Rey. He was, for a time, her first real friend. The first person she felt like she could trust. Do you remember the hug Rey gives Finn in Starkiller Base when she learns from Chewie that it was Finn's idea to come back and rescue her? That was because for the first time, someone came back for Rey. Finn is the person who came back. Did Maz not say, perhaps there is someone who still could come back for you? That was foreshadowing Finn returning. He accidentally made himself a big deal with the Resistance because instead of cutting and running, he chose to stay and fight to save Rey. Stay for Rey. The other point that is missed, this whole thing about it not being important about how Rey ended up on Jakku. The poor baby, they've been separated. Well, in the novelization for The Force Awakens, there is a line in the Force back vision when we see Rey as a little girl. In the movie, we see and hear her saying, please come back, don't leave. But what is only in the novel is another voice saying, I'm coming back for you, sweetheart. I promise. Now, if you've only seen Vincent Vendetta's Reylo video, you might be under the impression that it was Kylo Ren, but that's wrong. It's a male's voice, but that was most likely her father's voice. I mean, if we're going with Rey being 4 or 5 years old when that happened, Kylo Ren would have been a teenager training somewhere with his uncle Luke Skywalker. We should also note that Kylo Ren and Rey never met before The Force Awakens. Leia and Rey never met before The Force Awakens. I have a pretty strong feeling that it would only naturally follow that Luke and Rey never met before The Force Awakens. So what's the next excuse? Luke and Rey's mother conceived a child, but Rey believed her stepfather was a real father. Is that it? Well, that's about the only way that Rey could be Luke Skywalker's daughter. But that sort of negates the whole Luke is looking at his long-lost daughter, Rey, and he has tears in his eyes because he doesn't know he has a child. I don't think Luke had tears in his eyes at the sight of Rey because she's not his daughter, because she is not his daughter. He doesn't know who she is. He sees this girl. He recognizes that the Force is strong with her. Maybe he was able to sense everything that happened in The Force Awakens. He sensed the awakening in the Force, that cosmic tremor that coincided with newfound abilities in Rey and maybe anyone else with dormant attunement to the Force. This girl shows up and she's extending this lightsaber to him, his lightsaber and his father's before him. He's remembering that time in his life when his father nearly killed him, when he attempted to fight Vader after finally receiving some Jedi training from Yoda. This is after being humiliated in previous duels against Vader. And you'll have to read the new Star Wars comic books if you don't know about those previous fights where Vader basically destroys Luke and humiliates him. So all of these memories, and then everything that has recently happened, why Luke exiled himself on Ahch-To, the painful reminder of how his nephew, Ben Solo, the one he believed to be the chosen one, rose up, killed the other Jedi, and joined the First Order to bring a new reign of terror on the galaxy. All these mixed up emotions, the demons that Luke is fighting within his mind, his becoming disillusioned with the Jedi Order of old, the Force, with who he has tried to be, with everything. Luke's tears are from dealing with his own darkness, and that doesn't necessarily mean the dark side. It just means he is experiencing his own darkest night of the soul. This is something that I've touched on in previous videos. I may not have used that particular terminology, but that's what I've been describing when it comes to Luke. So I'm sorry, y'all. I don't think Rey is a Skywalker. Not for these reasons listed. If someone wants to disagree with me, that's fine. But don't give me some really weak ass reason for why you think she is a Skywalker. I know Daisy Ridley says it's obvious to her who Rey's parents are. And at one time she said they aren't anyone special. For me, this eliminates Luke Skywalker. I will say this much. I don't think you can put a lot of stock into what Daisy Ridley says regarding Rey and Rey's parents. I say that because there are scenes that we never see in the final cut of the film. I mean, just look at the video on how Finn's lightsaber scenes were cut from the final version of The Force Awakens. Had we seen that version, and I go on about how I think Finn might eventually end up as a Jedi, no one would have disagreed with me if we saw that version. I mean, he was supposed to go on a rampage with Rey's lightsaber for like half the movie. So I think that part of Rey's Force back vision where her father says he'll come back for her was filmed at one point in time. And I think we were going to come out of the movie knowing exactly who Rey is and where she came from. But it was removed. I guess JJ felt that it didn't progress the story forward the same way other things like Maz going to Octu to give the lightsaber to Leia were not necessary to move the story forward. So yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts. I don't think KNNL did their homework. I think they let their friends convince them to jump on the Team Kira Skywalker bandwagon, and that's that. But what do you all think? Do you think that Rey is a Skywalker still? And if you do, let me know why you think she is in the comments below. And I promise not to make fun of you, not in public, but I'll probably call you all kinds of things in my head. Idiot, moron, stupid, ignoring everything that's canon, doesn't read. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on the subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Embark on the journey to become the hero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Make sure to check out some of my other videos and be on the lookout for the Urban Acolyte podcast. I'll be uploading the episodes to YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. And if you want to get more involved, be sure to support the podcast over on Patreon at patreon.com/urbanacolyte. Well, that's all I got for this video, so thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you. Always.